everyone and welcome back to my channel. I thought I would do a photography video today and talk about one of my new analog cameras. So this is the Sardina camera. It's one of the lomography cameras and takes 35mm film. I bought it back in about October 2018, so I've been able to play with it a little bit since then. I really didn't need another analog camera, to be totally fair. I was just looking for some film, and I found the website Analogue Wonderland, which I really like and has a really good selection of film, and I got the camera as part of a bundle with 5 other films for about £90, which at the time I convinced myself was a good deal, and I actually think that it is, just because film can be quite expensive. So some of those films can be nearly £10 or more than £10 each, plus the camera. I think it was a good deal. And when you get a lomography camera, they always come with a lot of bumf. So there's like a booklet that goes with it, which tells you kind of a bit about lomography. It has a lot of photographs in it, and mostly it has the 10 golden rules of lomography, which are basically just point, click, shoot, don't think about it, always have your camera with you, etc. But they kind of pad it out. It's nice that you get all this stuff that comes with it. It also came with some very long instructions because they are in multiple languages, but what I quite like about this is that the instructions have sardine cans all over them. Because the camera is the Sardina and it is designed to kind of look like a sardine can, so it works. The precursor to the Sardina camera, or the inspiration behind this new lomography version, is from the 1930s and it's by the Irwin Corporation, and it's called the Candor Candid camera, which is hard to say. And it was inspired by a sardine can, as I said. And they sold pretty cheap in drugstores and dime stores. That was back in the 30s. They had a different film format then. It was a bit different, so it's been kind of revamped for modern times. I've actually really been enjoying using the camera. It seems really easy to use. It seems very reliable, unlike some of the other lomography cameras that I've had, like the Diana cameras, which give amazing results sometimes, but also just rubbish a lot of the time. This seems a lot more reliable. It's very lightweight, so it's easy to carry around, and it's reasonably compact, so you can just about fit it into a pocket. You can definitely fit it into a bag that you're taking out with you. To take a picture, it's pretty simple. Taking the lens cap off, obviously. You then just turn this dial here to adjust the focus. You can also adjust the shutter setting just with this little switch here. You wind it on here, and then you just press this button down to actually take the picture. Fairly straightforward. The one annoying thing that I've noticed about this camera is actually that the lens cap does fall off from time to time. So it won't just come right off, it will stay on. However, I have accidentally knocked it off in my pocket, in my bag, when I've been holding it. If I've not been holding it carefully enough, it does seem to fall off. However, that is kind of the only annoying thing that I've noticed about it. So I'm pretty pleased with that. I do have a habit of losing my lens caps though, so maybe it's just me. The Sardina takes 35mm film, as I said, which I think is my favourite type of film, just because it's so easy to get hold of and it can be relatively inexpensive depending on the type you get. I have been trying to experiment a little bit with the film that I've been using, so I have used some black and white film with the Sardina camera. When I went to Newcastle and Gateshead on a trip in about October-November time, I used this camera. And then I also tried some more novelty film, which I have tried before. It's called Tesla 2 is the film that I used, by Revolog. I previously used their Tesla 1 film, and that one has like flashes or lightning bolts almost that come out randomly on the picture. The Tesla 2 is the same, except the flashes are a slightly different colour. I think I prefer the Tesla 1 better. But, you know, it's a kind of novelty film, so some people will like it and some people will just think that it ruins the picture. Because you can't control it, you don't know where it's going to show up. But it does show up more in darker areas of the picture than lighter areas, but it is random, so you don't know what you're going to get. There are a couple of different options for shutter speed. So you have an N and a B option. So B is for bulb mode and N is for normal mode. B for bulb mode means that when you hold down the shutter button, the shutter will stay open for the duration as you hold down the button. So it's the one to use for low light levels or for indoor, because it will keep the shutter open, which will let in as much light as possible. It does mean that you do have to hold the camera really still for the entire time though. So I've also heard that B is also for blurry. So B for blurry, N for normal, B for bulb, N for normal. On the N setting is 1/100th of a second, and that's how fast the shutter speed is if you just have it on the normal setting. There is a third setting on the little shutter setting switch, and that is MX, and that is for multiple exposures. So with this camera, you do have the option to do multiple exposures on purpose. So with other cameras, I have done them accidentally, which is quite fun when they come out. But I quite like the being able to do it on purpose, and I have been experimenting with it. So to do so, you take a picture the normal way, then you switch it to MX, then you take another picture, and then those two images will be on top of each other on the same frame of the film. On some of them it has worked quite well, and on others it has been a little bit difficult to see because one of the images will tend to be a lot more washed out than the other one. So when I've put kind of two landscapes together, they kind of blend together and it doesn't really work. I think it works a lot better if you use like a portrait on top of a landscape, or two things that are quite different to get the juxtaposition or the contrast between the two images. And as I said before, you do adjust the focus by turning this little dial, and there are two different options for the focus. So there is one symbol which is 3 people, and this is for landscapes or for groups of people pictures, and this is 1 meter to infinity. That's the focal distance, so that's quite varied. And then you do have a close-up one, which is a little picture of a ladybird or an insect, and that is for 0.6 meters to a meter away from you. I have to say I haven't used that one very much because of where we live in the countryside. There's a lot more landscapes that I want to take pictures of, and that's been what I've been focusing more of. And even when I'm taking a picture of a person or doing a portrait, they're usually a meter or so away from me, so I don't tend to want to use that close-up shot that much. So I kind of need to experiment a bit more with that, because I'm not sure that I totally trust that images that close will come out on an analog camera, but like I said, I haven't used it very much, so I need to practice a bit more with it. And that is the camera. So that's basically my little overview. Like I said, I've only had it for a few months, but I have managed to do, I think, 3 rolls of film with it, and I've been pleased with how they've come out. So I'm going to continue working with it and using different film. I'm very looking forward to a big holiday that we've got coming up in May, so it's still a few months away, but I'm planning to take about 12 different cameras and just see what comes out. So I'm hoping to be able to use the La Sardina when I go, because like I said, it is so reliable that I really like using it. So if you have liked the video, please give me a like, and if you'd like to see more, please subscribe. And if you have any tips or tricks in regards to photography or analog photography, please leave them in the comments below.